Hello everybody, welcome to Wake Up America Wake Up. Today's podcast is not going to focus on what happened on November 5th. As we all know, President-elect Donald J. Trump was voted into office as the 47th President of the United States. Not only did he win the electoral vote, but he won the popular vote. And there's really no reason for me to sit here and gloat and rub it in or even say, hey, I told you so. But what I did want to focus on is an initiative that I think is very important. I think it's something that hits close to home, and that's government spending. What I want to talk about is DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. So sit back, relax, enjoy this podcast. What is DOGE? What is the Department of Government Efficiency? The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, is a revolutionary approach to streamline government spending and bureaucracy. Could Trump's vision finally bring an end to excessive government spending and red tape? We'll explore the potential impact and controversy surrounding this groundbreaking initiative on this week's episode of Wake Up America, Wake Up. It is my understanding that the primary mission and scope of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, would be to identify and eliminate wasteful spending, redundancies, and inefficiencies within government operations. DOGE would work to streamline government processes, consolidate agencies, and cut unnecessary programs to reduce the overall burden of bureaucracy on citizens and improve the efficiency and effectiveness of government services. Additionally, DOGE would aim to increase the accountability and transparency of government spending, making it easier to identify areas where further reductions could be made and ensuring that taxpayer dollars are being used effectively. The short of it is that this could potentially reduce the size of government. And I think that's a real plus. So, could this vision that Trump has, could it really work? Let's begin by asking ourselves, how did we get here? For decades, the government has been growing. And the only reason for this growth is money. Spending money. Taking taxpayer dollars in to create agencies, inefficiencies that are ineffective. The growth of government spending can be attributed to various factors, including economic, political, and social factors. Some of the key reasons for the expansion of government spending include: 1. Increased demand for public services. As population grows and becomes more diverse, there is often an increased demand for government services such as healthcare, education, and social welfare programs. 2. Economic factors. During economic downturns, governments may increase spending to stimulate the economy, provide relief to citizens, and mitigate the impact of the recession. 3. Political factors. Politicians will be inclined to increase spending to win votes or advance their political agendas, leading to the creation of new programs or the expansion of existing ones. 4. Technological advancements. As technology advances, governments may find new ways to expand their reach and provide services, leading to increased spending. 5. Globalization. As the world becomes more interconnected, governments may need to invest more in areas such as national security, diplomacy, and international aid to maintain their position on the global stage. 6. An aging population. As the population ages, there is an increased demand for healthcare and social services, leading to higher government spending in these areas. Then there is 7. Environmental concerns. With the advent of climate change, it becomes more apparent that the government may need to divert more funding to environmental protection, renewable energy and infrastructure to adapt to the changing climate, which in itself is a cash cow for environmentalists and the WEF to influence sovereign nations to invest in ways to reduce carbon. But it is a ploy to control other governments. But that's for another topic, folks. Overall, the growth of government spending is a complex issue with multiple factors contributing to its expansion. Addressing this issue will require a multifaceted approach that takes into account the various economic, political, and social factors that drive government spending. DOGE would likely employ a combination of methods to identify wasteful spending, redundancies, and efficiencies within government operations. These methods could include audits and evaluations. DOGE would conduct regular audits and evaluations of government programs and agencies to identify areas where spending could be reduced or eliminated, and to assess the efficiency and effectiveness of government operations. Data analysis. DOGE would analyze government data to identify patterns and trends in spending, as well as to identify potential areas for improvement and cost savings. Collaboration with government agencies. DOGE would work closely with government agencies to identify and address inefficiencies and redundancies within their programs and to develop strategies for improving efficiency and reducing costs. Public input. DOGE could solicit input from the public and other stakeholders to identify areas where government spending could be improved or reduced. Best practices. That's one of my favorites. DOGE would research and implement best practices from other countries and private sector organizations to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of government operations. Streamlining processes. DOGE would work to streamline government processes, consolidate agencies, and eliminate unnecessary programs to reduce the overall burden of bureaucracy on citizens and improve the efficiency and effectiveness of government services. Ultimately, the success of DOGE in identifying and eliminating wasteful spending, redundancies, and inefficiencies would depend on its ability to collaborate with government agencies, leverage data and best practices, and effectively implement strategies to improve government efficiency and accountability. Because keep in mind, what has happened with respect to the Department of Defense and their last 7 audits that they have failed? Well, it turns out that there is $824 billion that they cannot account for. That is $824 billion, folks, taxpayer dollars that cannot be accounted for. But what I would say is follow the money. And DOGE could be very effective in finding out where that money went and hold those people accountable, because that money didn't just disappear into thin air. It's in somebody's pockets. And that's what I hope DOGE will do. So how does DOGE take this opportunity to improve government accountability and transparency? Well, DOGE could take a variety of measures to improve government accountability and transparency, including 1. Increase data reporting. DOGE could require government agencies to provide more detailed and transparent reporting on their spending, programs, and performance metrics. 2. Public access to information. DOGE could work to make government data and documents more easily accessible to the public, including through the creation of online portals and open data initiatives. 3. Performance evaluations. DOGE could establish a system of regular performance evaluations for government agencies and programs, assessing their efficiency and effectiveness and accountability. 4. Oversight and auditing. DOGE could establish a robust system of oversight and auditing to ensure the government agencies are adhering to budgetary and performance standards and to identify areas where improvements could be made. 5, whistleblower protections. Doge could work to strengthen whistleblower protections for government employees who report waste, fraud, and abuse within their agencies. If you recall, during the Obama administration, whistleblowers were not coming forward because the Obama administration would try to prosecute them based on a breach of confidentiality. However, if the law is being broken, if something is wrong with the system, I think anybody that works in the federal government should report it. And strengthening whistleblower protections would be very helpful. More people would come forward. 7, citizen engagement. Doge could encourage citizen engagement and participation in the government decision-making processes, including through public comment periods, town hall meetings, and other forms of public input. I know a lot of this sounds like a pie in the sky, but folks, that is the reason why we have this type of republic, why we have a democratic government, so that we can participate, put our input in what the government needs to do. They just can't run willy-nilly. And that's what's been happening for so many decades, because people have just been so complacent and have refused to exercise that right to hold their government accountable, especially when it comes to spending taxpayer dollars. Because keep in mind, the government does not generate money. The government isn't a business that generates any kind of monetary value. They get their money from John Q. Public, you and I. By implementing these measures, Doge could help to create a more transparent and accountable government, making it easier to identify areas where further reductions in spending could be made, and ensuring that taxpayer dollars are being used effectively. Keep in mind, decades ago, there was a government contract in which $500 for toilet seats was part of the contract, where hammers were $250 each. Money was being spent because someone who was in the government got with a government contractor and they started funneling taxpayer dollars that would benefit that organization, but of course, put the money into that ex-politician that was working for that company. That is fraud and abuse, folks, and that has been happening for decades. But we have been asleep behind the wheel and not held anybody accountable or even asked questions about it. So let's look at the impact that Doge could possibly have on government agencies and their responsibilities. Now, the establishment of the government efficiency could have significant impact on existing government agencies and their responsibilities. And some potential impacts include reduced autonomy, which is number 1. Government agencies may experience a loss of autonomy and decision-making power as Doge takes on more active role in overseeing and directing their operations. Then there's 2, consolidation and reorganization. Doge may oversee the consolidation or reorganization of some government agencies, leading to changes in their responsibilities, staff, and budget. 3, increased scrutiny. Government agencies may face increased scrutiny and oversight from Doge, which could lead to greater accountability and transparency, but also potentially more bureaucratic hurdles and red tape. 4, resource reallocation. Doge may reallocate resources, and funding from some government agencies to others based on its assessments of where spending could be most effectively redirected to improve efficiency and waste. 5, resistance to change. Government agencies may initially resist the establishment of Doge and its efforts to streamline operations and reduce spending, potentially leading to tensions and conflicts between Doge and existing agencies. 6, potential for duplication. There is also a risk that Doge could create additional layers of bureaucracy and duplication of efforts rather than streamlining government operations and reducing waste. To mitigate these potential impacts, DOGE would need to work closely with existing government agencies to foster collaboration, share best practices, and ensure that many changes to agency responsibilities or operations were implemented thoughtfully and efficiently. Additionally, DOGE would need to establish clear guidelines and standards for how it would interact and oversee existing agencies to ensure that its efforts to improve government efficiency and accountability did not come at the expense of the public service delivery. So, folks, yes, there are definitely going to be hurdles, and there's definitely going to be tensions within a lot of the government agencies. But, well, there is no but. They have to collaborate, because this is an initiative by the 47th president, President-elect Donald J. Trump. No more bureaucracy. No more out-of-control spending. And in order for DOGE to be effective, we the people have to also engage. We have to become watchdogs as to how money is being spent. Because the government taxes you on everything. So keep in mind, and I've mentioned this, the government does not generate any funds. It only collects funds from taxpayers. So if you want to know what your government is wasting money on, then you need to engage. Then you need to be very supportive of this initiative because it could work. It could reduce the size of government. There will be concerns about the implementation of DOGE. Will it lead to cuts in essential public services? Will it undermine the ability of the government to meet the needs of the citizens? It's a possibility. To ensure that the implementation of DOGE does not lead to cuts in essential public services or undermine the ability of the government to meet the needs of citizens, several steps could be taken. 1. Identify essential services. DOGE would work with government agencies and other stakeholders to identify which services are considered essential and should be preserved, even in the face of budget constraints. 2. Establish funding safeguards. DOGE could establish funding safeguards to ensure that essential services receive adequate funding, even if other programs or agencies are subject to cuts or consolidation. 3. Public input and engagement. DOGE could engage the public and other stakeholders in the decision-making process, ensuring that any change to government services or operations are informed by the needs and priorities of the citizens. 4. Performance-based budgeting. DOGE could implement performance-based budgeting practices, ensuring that funding for government programs and agencies is tied to specific performance metrics and outcomes rather than simply based on historical spending patterns. 5. Collaborating with state and local governments. DOGE could work closely with state and local governments to ensure that any changes to federal government operations did not disproportionately impact the ability of state and local governments to provide essential services to their citizens. 6. Regular evaluation and adjustment. DOGE would regularly evaluate the impact of its initiatives on government efficiency and the ability of the government to meet the needs of citizens and adjust its strategies as needed to ensure that essential services were preserved and that the government remained responsive to the needs of its citizens. By taking these steps, DOGE could help to ensure that its efforts to improve government efficiency and reduce waste do not come at the expense of essential public services or the ability of the government to meet the needs of the citizens. Let's talk about Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk, who have both expressed support for the concept of a Department of Government Efficiency. and have offered their perspectives on how it can be implemented. Vivek Ramaswamy, an entrepreneur and author, has been a vocal proponent of the idea of creating a Doge. In his book, Woke Inc., Ramaswamy argues that the government has become overly bloated and inefficient, and that a dedicated agency focused on streamlining government operations could help address this issue. He suggests that Doge could work to eliminate wasteful spending, reduce redundancies, and improve overall government accountability and transparency. Ramaswamy's vision for Doge is rooted in his belief that a smaller, more efficient government could better serve the needs of citizens and promote economic growth. Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur and CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, has also expressed support for the concept of a Department of Government Efficiency. In a 2019 tweet, Musk suggested that creating such an agency could help to address the problem of government waste and bureaucracy. While Musk has not elaborated on the specifics of his vision for Doge, his support for the idea aligns with his broader interest in innovation, efficiency, and reducing government interference in the government sector. Both Ramaswamy and Musk argue that a Department of Government Efficiency could help to rein in government spending, improve public services, and reduce the overall burden of bureaucracy on citizens. However, their specific proposals and approaches to implementing Doge may differ, and it remains to be seen how such an agency would be received by policymakers and the public. Folks, this is my conclusion. Now, I have reiterated throughout this podcast that we need to reduce redundancies, that the consolidation of agencies is very important, that Doge itself cannot hamper the government's ability to provide services to citizens. I've said all that over and over again in order to emphasize the importance. I've done what the government's been doing. I've been repeating things redundantly to make an impact on you. But based on the information provided, what I've researched, the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, their initiative aims to improve government efficiency, reduce waste, and increase accountability and transparency in government operations. I've been saying this over and over throughout this podcast. Doge would focus on identifying and eliminating redundancies, inefficiencies, and wasteful spending within government operations, as well as streamlining processes, consolidating agencies, and cutting unnecessary programs. The success of Doge would be measured by its ability to achieve cost savings, improve efficiency, enhance accountability and transparency, preserve essential public services, and maintain public satisfaction with government services. While the initiative has the potential to bring about positive changes, it faces challenges, such as potential resistance from government agencies, the risk of creating additional bureaucracy, and the need to ensure that essential public services are preserved. Ultimately, the impact and effectiveness of Doge would depend on its design, implementation, and oversight, as well as its ability to work collaboratively with government agencies, state and local governments, and other stakeholders to achieve its goal. If this vision of Trump can be made possible with the help of Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk, is it worth the risk? My opinion is my own. I can only tell you that there's a long road ahead for Doge, and any path to success will depend on us being watchdogs, questioning everything that the government spends, And of course, there has to be transparency as to how that money is spent. I mean, take a look at how much money has been sent to Ukraine. A lot of taxpayer dollars. And then the recent admission by the Department of the Defense, after failing 7 audits, $824 billion are unaccountable, folks. But I'm pretty sure that with an agency like DOGE, we can find out where that money is. We can hold the personnel in government, the leadership that allowed it to happen, so that it won't happen again. But there has to be real impact. There has to be real teeth in the Department of Government Efficiency in order for spending and the size of government to be reduced. There has to be teeth. This is Raphael Freeze. Thank you for joining me tonight on Wake Up America, Wake Up. Please subscribe, like, and share. Please become a part of the Awakened Americans community. A big shout out to one of my biggest supporters, my Canadian brother, who really cares about America than a lot of people that don't. And he's not an American citizen. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Frank Castles of Loyal to the Foil. Thank you very much, folks. And we'll see you again.